point. And you do not have a lot of options when it comes to guys in the minor leagues, when it comes to prospects, when it comes to even guys on the major league roster who you could move to go add multiple bats at this point. You want to go find one middle of the order-ish, just competent major league bat? You can probably go and find that guy. You can move somebody. I don't know if it's Blake Mitchell. I don't know if it's Frank Mazzucato. I don't even really know what Frank Mazzucato is worth at this point. You may be able to move a prospect or two, go find that guy. Maybe it's Seth Lugo, who's going to start tonight for the Royals. Maybe you say, we're going to sacrifice some of this pitching depth, and we're going to go out, move a guy from the rotation, find a bat that way. We'll sacrifice depth to get a guy for the order. Okay, great. I don't know that one fixes it at this point. And that has me especially worried for this Royals team. Maybe I'm wrong. And I hope I am. I'm obviously hopeful that the Royals figure out a way to make it shake, that Salvi starts turning this underlying projectable stuff into actual production. Vinny keeps it up. You never get an 0 for 4 from Bobby Witt, stuff like that. I'm very hopeful that they are able to find these things. I just don't know if there are, A, enough guys out there the Royals can add who will make a difference, and B, I don't know that they have the capital, whether that's just money spent or prospects they can move, to go and find multiple guys to help fix this team at this point. We've got a text in here from the 785. The Royals need mid-13 Alex Gordon in the clubhouse going off on the rest of the roster. I do have questions, and I'm not trying to bag on any one guy in particular, but I do wonder, just out of curiosity, like, who is the guy, as Dan would say, the old school baseball phrase, you need a little red ass, right? You need someone who's going to get on guys. They're not trying to say that there's not that, but this team clearly is missing a spark right now that it needs, and whether that's an addition, and you hoped Cags was going to be that, right? And you've had moments where, hey, Jack Caglione, 4-hit game on Sunday. He came up and immediately the Royals were able to score a little bit more. Remember, they scored 7 runs in his first game. You were hoping that was going to be it. It has not been fleshed out to that degree as of yet. That is why I am worried about this. I think the Royals might need multiple guys. I just don't know that they're going to be able to find them. And when you see an offense like the Yankees and them just destroying the baseball and the kind of power they have and the contact up and down the lineup, you see the stats, the OPS, the runs scored, the home runs, all that. And then you see this anemic Royals team, which has the worst OPS with runners in scoring position in all of baseball. Last night, barely in the competitive portion of the game were even able to get guys on base. Feels like there is a long way to go for this Royals team to be a true contender. Not saying they can't make the playoffs built like this, but it definitely doesn't feel comfortable if you're the Royals with the way this roster is constructed right now. We've got some good news for you if you're a usual YouTube watcher. The stream is back up. Thanks, Google, for fixing all your websites and helping us get back on the air. That is all fixed if you're a regular stream watcher. But if not, thanks for joining us today on 580 AM. We've got plenty more Royals to get to a little bit later on in the show. Which Royals, after all that negativity, which Royals are hopeful of making the All-Star game this year? An ESPN writer has 3 making it. We'll give our picks. That's coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We'll preview tonight's series finale against the Yankees in the 5 o'clock hour today. Right now, though, we've got to get to a commercial break. We'll come on back with either or, over, under, and then Rick Peterson will join us later on this hour. We're just getting started on this Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Just getting the ball rolling today on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan Dworzinski here with you. Spencer Dupuis will be by in a little bit. No Dan Lucero. He's on vacation until Monday. Trying to get back on air on the YouTube feed. We were not able to get on at the very start. That's a web problem that sometimes is unfortunately out of our control. Sometimes I joke about having prison Wi-Fi at the station, but that's neither here nor there. Don't let my bosses hear that. Sometimes things are out of our control. This time it's not a station problem. It's way, way, way above us. So hopefully that's working out for you if you're a regular YouTube watcher. If not, thanks for hanging out with us on old school terrestrial radio, 580 AM and 104.9 FM. Rick Peterson is going to join us coming up in a little bit for the local sports spotlight. We'll begin our series as we recap the year that was in prep and Washburn sports. So we'll get to that coming up here within the next 10 minutes or so. But right now, it is time for this week's round of either or over under, and we are going to the AFC West. We're talking plenty of football on the show today, and we are looking at the win totals for every team in the AFC West. We're going to go through the Chiefs pretty quickly here because we're obviously going to talk plenty about the Chiefs and their outlook for the future over the course of the summer once we get to training camp and all of that. We'll do this again when the guys are in the studio, both Spencer and Dan. But for the Chiefs, the over-under, this is set by our good friends over at Prairie Band Sportsbook up in Mayetta. The over-under total for the Chiefs on wins this season, 11.5. I feel like you have to go over here. It's about even money betting either way. I feel like you've got to go with the over for the Chiefs just based on modern history. And I can understand if you're not a believer and you think Mahomes is no longer the guy he was when he was winning MVPs. Andy Reid has lost it. I think the defense is going to struggle a little bit more as time goes on. I don't believe Rashee Rice is going to be healthy. I think Travis Kelce is washed. The offensive line is not going to be better. If you feel any of those particular ways, I'm not going to argue with you thinking the Chiefs will have 11 or fewer wins this year. However, I feel like I've got to go with the over, and I really like the back end of the schedule for the Chiefs this year. Early on, Chargers, Eagles, those are going to be tough. Baltimore's tough. I'm kind of a believer in Jacksonville, but I think the Chiefs can win that game. Detroit, difficult. Washington, difficult. Buffalo, right before the bye week, November 2nd, that's difficult. But the back end of the schedule, I think they're going to win at least one against Denver. I think they'll beat the Colts and the Cowboys. I think they can beat the Chargers twice this year. They'll beat Tennessee. If they need to win in Week 18, I think they'll beat the Raiders. I'm going to go with the over here for the Chiefs. I really am a believer. Why wouldn't I be a believer in a team that's quarterbacked by Patrick Mahomes, led by Andy Reid, with a defense coached by Steve Spagnuolo? Until I am given a reason to truly not believe, I'm going to keep believing. And if your response to that was, well, they lost the Super Bowl in ugly fashion, they made it to the Super Bowl. That's not a reason to not think this Chiefs team is going to be good again this year. And we're going to talk more about that particular point coming up to lead off the 4 o'clock hour today. An interesting piece by Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports really strengthened that opinion, why I think the Chiefs should be getting more respect from the public. But we'll get to that a little bit later on. Elsewhere in the AFC West, let's go to the Denver Broncos next. And again, their over-under win total from Prairie Band Sportsbook up in Mayetta. The total, 9.5 for the Broncos. Can they get to 10 wins? I am going to lean yes on the Broncos. I think they can be a 10-win team again this season. They're still not perfect. I know Dan's concern with them is the fact that they don't have maybe the best group of playmakers in the world. Maybe overdrafted Pat Bryant. What do you think of Marvin Mims? Is Cortland Sutton a true number one? Do you believe in their running game? They go out, they draft RJ Harvey. I thought he was a little overdrafted, but I understood they wanted some explosion. They wanted a little bit more raw speed on the field. Is Bo Nix going to get better? I don't think he is going to get much better. Some people think he's going to get worse, and he really overplayed expectation by too much in that first season. I am going to say over, though. I do think they sneak in with 10 wins, although Broncos do have a fairly challenging schedule, more so than the Chiefs. The whole division is going to play the NFC East this year. Denver's got to play Green Bay. That is not going to be easy in a cross-conference matchup. They've got to play Cincinnati this year. That's a Monday Night Football game. That one will be in Denver, but also that Cincinnati passing game in the light air of Denver sounds really fun. I'm going to go 10 wins. I do think Denver sneaks over that total. The Los Angeles Chargers, they are the team that I am more bearish on than a lot of people. We're going to emphasize this again coming up in our 4 o'clock segment that I was just teasing for you a moment ago. I don't know why, because I think Jim Harbaugh is a really good coach. I think Justin Herbert, despite his various flaws, is a good quarterback. I'm going to go under on the Chargers here. I still don't know that they have enough talent defensively. I don't know that I really loved the draft that they put together. I've got questions about their ability to rush the passer still. I don't know that they've got enough weapons for Justin Herbert. I think Najee Harris is far more famous than good. So all the hype when he was signed at the start of free agency, oh, they added Najee Harris. Wow, multi-10,000-yard rusher. Yeah, no, I'm not really a believer in Najee Harris, even with his guy, Jim Harbaugh, at the controls, even with Greg Roman, Mr. Run-Heavy Offense, Greg Roman controlling things on that side of the ball. I'm going to go under for the Chargers. They might get to 9 and still finish with a winning record, but I'm feeling a lot more bearish about them this year than I know a lot of folks are. And finally, and I have been made fun of a couple of different times for my hype for this team, the Las Vegas Raiders, their win total, 6.5, and I am going to smash that over this year. I think that's a 7-win team. And that, oh, wow, 7 wins, big deal. It is a big deal for a team that was as much of an embarrassment last year and really for the last several years. And if you're a Chiefs fan, you probably feel they've always been an embarrassment forever. But an embarrassment like the Las Vegas Raiders have been in recent memory. They've got a legit quarterback. And Geno Smith might not be a top 5, top 6 guy, but that is a legitimate, bona fide, quality starting quarterback in the NFL. They've added a little bit to the running game. I think the pass catchers are decent enough. Their offensive line is above average. They've got a real head coach in Pete Carroll. That is a big deal. To have a serious adult in the room head coach, that is important for this team. I do really like their defensive coordinator in Patrick Graham. I think Chip Kelly probably kind of boomer bust as their offensive coordinator and play caller. They get to play a last place schedule this year. I don't know that they get more than 7, but I'm going to say over 6.5 wins for the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know why I've been banging the drum for them so hard. I just really like what they've done this offseason. That's either or, over, under. Rick Peterson joins us next for the local sports spotlight right here on 580 Sports Talk. Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline, as he does every Thursday at this time, it is the great Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. You can find all of his phenomenal work covering our local prep teams throughout the county and the city, as well as Washburn University at TopSports.news. Pistol, have you been able to catch your breath at all as the spring sports season is wound down?
Yeah, definitely. I'm still in that process, but yes, I'm on the mend, as you guys say.
Well, love to hear that. Let's start today, Pistol, as we recap the year that was. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll get to some of the biggest stories from boys and girls sports and the men and women of Washburn as well. Let's put a bow on some of these end-of-season results for the spring sports team in particular. I wanted to ask you about state track and looking back on some of the events. I know we talked about this last week and everything that went on there, but I wanted to see if we could get a final ode to Cessna Stadium as it currently stands. How was it to be down there for the last edition of state track as Cessna currently stands?
Well, do we know that for sure?
That was my understanding of it anyway.
Okay, because I'm not sure about that now.
Okay,
they put in permanent stands on that east side. It looks great. They built another new building over there on that east side. The west side, less talk. But I don't know exactly when they're going to tear that down. So I'm still have hope that we're going to be back there next year.
Well, that's fantastic news because there's, of all the great events we have in this state track at Cessna is unlike anything else. So the sooner we can get back and have it, as normal as possible there, that's a big plus. So I'm going to trust you, Pistol. I'm going to trust that you've got better information than I do.
Well, I just hope I'm with you, though. I just hope we can continue to go there. That's been one of my favorite events since way back in 1981, I believe, because I love being able to go there and see everybody from every class.
Let's run through some of the all-county picks. In fact, those are over right now at TopSports.news. Tell us, Pistol, about some of the headliners this year. I think we can probably guess a few of them for all Shawnee County track and field.
Yeah, I mean, on the girls' side, Ryan Miller might be, the leader for the whole state. I haven't seen the Gatorade Athlete of the Year yet, but she was it last year and had a better weekend this year. So I think that's your leader in the clubhouse. And then on the boys' side, not only did you have Isaiah Terry in the Open 400, but you had Liam Morrison in the 300 hurdles, and then those two, along with Jaden Shincherin and Matthew Hauser, set a 6A state meet record in the 4x4 relay, and that's a time. When you get down 3:16, you're cooking. So those are the top ones off the top of my head. Morgan Ray, second in the javelin as a junior for Washburn Rural in 6A. Shy Rayton, second in the triple jump for the second straight year in 6A. And then Seaman, Bryce Cochran and Peyton Holmes, Brody Anderson, all in top three finishes. And so it was good. It was a good weekend.
And you were correct, by the way, Pistol. I've got it right up in front of me right now. Ryan Miller is your Gatorade Athlete of the Year for track and field again. So not really a surprise for anybody right there. Let's get a touch on the boys' side as well and some of their big standouts for all county track.
Well, we just talked about, you had the Isaiah Terry probably be the top of that list.
Yep.
And then that relay team was great. Peyton Holmes was great. Bryce Cochran was great. It was a very solid year. We didn't have the multi-event individual champs that we had in some of the past years, but it was still very good.
We're talking to Rick Peterson from TopSports.news. Pistol joins us every week at this time for the local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk. Go check out TopSports.news for all of his fantastic coverage of our local teams. Let's move from all-county track, Pistol, to the bat and ball sports, and we'll start on the softball diamond. Your all-county picks for this year. How would you stack up this year's group and some of its standouts to maybe some other teams of recent vintage on the all-county lists?
Well, all county baseball. The only thing we were missing was a state champion this year. We had a lot of great, but on the baseball, you had Cooper Grace of Hayden, a Nebraska recruit, and then you had Deacon Pomeroy of Shawnee Heights, who is an Oklahoma State recruit, and some other very, very good players. The all-county softball team will be out by in the morning, and it's loaded with state tournament teams. I mean, we had I think it was 5 that made it to state tournaments this year, and Seaman and Shawnee Heights got eliminated in the first round of 5A, and both of those could have easily advanced and easily had a shot at the state title. And then Silver Lake and Washburn Rural did make it to the state finals and lost real tough decisions there. And then Topeka High, which I think was a little bit of a surprise this year with the season they had, just because of what they had lost over the last few years. But they make it in the 6A state tournament. And all those teams will be well represented on the all-county team.
And to that point that you just made there, Pistol, and also mentioning that it's just a loaded group for softball, I think that's backed up by the 9 all-state picks from the county this year.
Yeah. And that's and if you're getting, as much good softball as there is across the state, that just shows how well respected Shawnee County and Topeka are.
So as we talk to Rick Peterson from TopSports.news, Pistol joining us for the local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk. Coming out of the spring sports season, as we look ahead to the summer, are there any big storylines that you were following throughout the year that you got some sort of clarity on, like a big prediction or anything like that from the start of spring sports that you've been able to kind of put a final bow on here?
Well, the thing I'm waiting on is a new basketball coach for Highland Park, because that's a signature program in the city, and I'm really curious to see who's going to end up with that job. I'm hearing some rumors, but until it's official, who knows? And then other than that, I just think I think it's going to be kind of the year of the seniors next year in all sports. I mean, we talked about Ryan Miller. Kalen Haney is just an exceptional athlete, and on and on and on. On the boys' side, you got several good juniors that'll be back for the Kayvon Bonner in basketball. Several great ones in football. Jude Krentz for Hayden and some of those. So I just think it's going to be a really good senior heavy class. Dane Johnson, Silver Lake, Jack Donovan, Rossville. I mean, like I said, I just keep coming up with names, but it's a really good. It's going to be a really good senior year.
It's kind of amazing to me, Pistol, to think, and this is a credit to how dominant and how successful she's been. Like, the idea that Ryan Miller still has another year in high school is crazy. Like, I feel like if you had told me she graduated 2 years ago, I said, oh yeah, that sounds about right. She's just been so good and so dominant in the running sports for so long. You mentioned the Highland Park boys basketball job. I know sometimes it's hard to predict these things, but do you have a sense of if there's going to be a lot of other turnover this summer? School year's over. Who knows what can happen after that? Are you getting the sense that there might be some quote unquote surprise openings from this point forward? Or for now, does it feel like it might be a slower news cycle on that front?
I think it's going to be a very much slower news cycle. I think that's the, Highland Park is going to need a basketball coach and an athletic director. But other than that, I haven't heard much. And as important as the summer is now for athletes and teams and coaches, I don't expect anything now, because if you're going to, you've already started. We're already 2-3 weeks into the summer preparation. So I think it's going to be quiet.
Just a couple thoughts, Pistol, on the Washburn Ichabods as we wrap up our local sports spotlight on this Thursday afternoon. Top 15 finish this year in the Learfield Directors Cup. That's the best that Washburn has ever had. That takes every program from around the country, and you get points based on how your individual teams, men's tennis versus women's soccer and all that. You get points, and the more the better, based on where they finish in the national postseasons, going for a national championship, etc. Washburn, top 15 in the country, second highest in the MIAA. Again, the program's best of all time. We've talked about this, you and I have, a couple times in recent weeks, but it really is amazing how much joint collective team success Washburn University has had in the athletic front these last 12 months or so.
Yeah, and I think it could be just as good next year, because I think I think football's ready for it to get back to where they've been over the years, and I think baseball. I look for baseball to have another better year this next year, and then look at all the other great programs, which you mentioned a lot of them. I look for women's basketball to take another big jump. So I think they could be just as good next year across the board.
If you had to pick one, and I know that's really putting you on the spot there, but if you had to pick one team at Washburn who would be, your breakout pick for next year, that maybe they've been flying under the radar, but they are going to really burst onto the scene next year. You've already mentioned my two, but what would your one pick be?
Well, just because I think, it could have happened last year very easily, and there was just so many close games. I'd probably go football, because I feel like women's basketball already had a breakout of sorts last year. So I'll go football. I think the schedule benefits them a little bit, and they were so close last year that would be me.
Yeah, 5 one-score losses a season to go. Football is right there for me. You're right about women's basketball, but I do think, too, that you're bringing your whole starting five back. And it was a really good starting five with 2 second-team all-league picks. I think there's a really good chance Coast Westling's group finishes in the top 2 or 3 in the MIAA this year. If not number 1, that's certainly in the cards. Rick Peterson, he joins us every Thursday at this time for the local sports spotlight right here on 580 Sports Talk. Make sure you check out all of his work covering our local teams, preps in the city, in the county, and Washburn University over at TopSports.news. Pistol, we appreciate the time. Looking forward to next week when we'll start breaking down our top stories of the year from boys and girls prep sports.
Look forward to it.
That is the great Rick Peterson joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. We owe you a timeout. We'll come on back, wrap up the first hour of the show right after this. bow on this first hour of 580 Sports Talk. Brendan Dworzinski with you in studio today. Spencer Dupuis will be by next hour. Plenty of NFL to get to, including the list from CBS Sports of the best and worst case scenarios this season for every team in the league. We'll get to those from the Chiefs, the AFC West, and the rest of the contenders in the AFC. We've also got What Is Wrong With You coming your way, and who are the Kansas City Royals with a legit shot of reaching the All-Star game this year. We will get to that all coming up in this next hour of 580 Sports Talk. Speaking of Kansas City Chiefs football, by the way, 85 days until the Chiefs kickoff, 84 until the season opener for the NFL at large. But 85 days until the Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers go head-to-head in Brazil. Friday night, free game on YouTube, in fact. That's when the Chiefs will open the season, so 85 days. Your corresponding Chiefs player on the roster who wears number 85, my guy, Big Bob, Robert Tonyan. He's number 85, so we're officially Robert Tonyan days away from the start of the Chiefs season. And I have said a couple of times I'd be super happy for him if he does make the team. I do not think he is going to make the team out of training camp this year, but I am curious, and it wouldn't be completely out of the norm or out of the realm of possibility that the Chiefs keep 4 tight ends. I think it's, I don't know about likely, but I think it is absolutely in the cards. I am curious if the Chiefs go back to more of the 3 and 4 tight end stuff this year, especially on the goal line. Would have loved to have seen a little bit more of that a couple years ago before Jody Fortson got hurt. You know, Blake Bell was around, Noah Gray, Travis Kelce, etc. Some really interesting stuff you can do on the goal line. I do wonder if that is in the back of the mind of Andy Reid. Like a Bob Tonyan is not going to be playing special teams. So what do you do with some of the other bodies? And I didn't even mention Jake Brenningstool, who we talked about a lot earlier in the week. Is he going to make an impact? He probably will play special teams for you. But I am curious how many guys are kept in that position group for Kansas City this year. We'll talk Chiefs football to lead off the 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk after the news. o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk coming your way here on 580 AM, 104.9 FM, online at 580WIBW.com, and back on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Head over to youtube.com, search 580 Sports Talk, subscribe, and click on the video if you want to watch along on the show today. I'm Brendan Dworzinski. Joining us on the other side of the glass, it's the one and only Spencer Dupuis. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, sir.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
All right.
Yeah,
I
got a new chair this morning because we're having visitors coming over at the end of the month.
Not like an office chair, like at home.
Yeah,
you got a chair. Okay.
Like I got a chair because we're having visitors and we only really have our couch.
Okay, yeah.
And it was pretty exciting this morning.
Like a lazy boy, get the ottoman.
Got it from the Habitat Restore up there in Noto. It's like I don't know. It's like a recliner, but it's like a seat, but then it has like a footrest, and then it reclines a little bit. Yeah. It's really nice.
Yeah, that sounds really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that place. We went a lot when we moved into our new house.
I'm just happy that when we go now, I don't have to deal with coming up from like
from all the way on the other
Topeka
side of the city. Yeah.
And like, especially now having to deal with all the construction, just literally taking like 12 minutes to get there. So nice.
Yeah, that's not bad. Don't give away your address though.
But I will tell you, everyone in their world was there at 10 a.m. this morning. Like,
I wonder why.
The door. No, I think it's a weekly thing. Like, because they're only open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from like 10 to 4.
Beat the rush. Yeah.
And there was probably 80 people there with us.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny. We're with you for the next 2 hours here on 580 Sports Talk. Planning to get to some more Royals baseball later on in the show. We've got Chiefs and NFL football coming up here in just a matter of moments. What is wrong with you? Brought to you by our guy, Ryan Mo Winkle, and Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. That's coming up here about 20 minutes or so from right now. And who are the Royals that are in the running to make the All-Star game? One writer at ESPN.com has 3, including a couple who he thinks could be starters in the All-Star game. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit later this hour. Oh, and by the way, my favorite movie is getting a sequel. It's going to be another 2 years, but my favorite movie is getting a sequel.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I did not know that was your favorite movie, but I did see it.
I don't want to give it away because that's how teases work in this business, but I think I know every single word to the script of the original. I really do. A movie that's 7 years older than I am. And I think I know every single word. We'll get to that coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, late in the end of the hour. Also got our headlines next hour. We'll preview Royals-Yankees Game 3. And back by popular demand, because y'all had a fun time with it yesterday. We had a blast with it as well. We're bringing back another day of sports trivia, Sports Jeopardy, in the 5 o'clock hour today. We're switching roles, though. Spencer was our contestant yesterday. He's got a round and some questions for me today.
Yes, I do.
Also told me before this hour started that it's harder for me than it was for him. So thanks.
I mean, I at least at one point in my life enjoyed basketball.
Sure. I mean, I enjoyed hockey at one point. Yeah, I was a bandwagon fan when the Blackhawks were good.
Yeah, but not just the Blackhawks. I knew what was going on while I was in high school and stuff, about Steph Curry and everything, and that whole time. Yeah, when my team was still.
I did not watch a lot other than the Blackhawks. I'm going to be honest with you, but hockey heavy. We're going to get to that in the 5 o'clock hour today. We also want to get to your texts and your comments on YouTube as well. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. And you can find us on YouTube as well. Again, youtube.com, search 580 Sports Talk. Subscribe if you have not already. That's how you can always find out when we've got a new video posted or when we go live or any of the stuff we do. You can find it if you're subscribed to the channel and then go over, watch along with the show. Maybe you'll have fun doing it. We'll find out. All right, let's get to this, Spencer. This is from Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports. We've referenced Cody's stuff many times on this program, the king of off-season NFL content. He's got a post up today. It is the best and worst case scenarios in 2025 for every team in the NFL. If everything goes right, what will it look like? If everything goes wrong, what would that look like as well? We'll get to the Chiefs and all of the other contenders and divisional opponents in the AFC. By the way, best case scenario for your Commanders, according to Cody Benjamin of CBS, Super Bowl championship.
I love that.
Worst case scenario is just like not winning the division. It's actually very vague. Daniel's do-it-all gifts come with a cost. He can't get on the field to meet his expectations. Dan Quinn has to lean on aging placeholders as the rival Eagles keep rolling. Okay, finishing second in the division is not that bad.
No, not the division that has the Eagles and then a team like the Cowboys that can random years just be really good.
Still got a good quarterback. I mean, not an elite quarterback, but a good quarterback. Good
Mr.
defense.
Stat quarterback. We talked about this last year. He's Mr. Stat stuff for quarterback.
Stat Prescott.
Yeah.
So that's your Commanders. Let's get to the Kansas City Chiefs, shall we? The best case, by the way, for the Packers is also winning a Super Bowl. That's kind of what it is for most of the league.
Yeah.
So here is what Mr. Cody Benjamin writes about the Kansas City Chiefs. Best case scenario. Patrick Mahomes' O-line recovers from an ugly Super Bowl. A freshened-up pass-catching core led by Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice reignites the deep attack, and the dynasty captures yet another championship. I mean, yeah, that's the goal for the Chiefs always now, is winning the Super Bowl. Worst case scenario. The line is reworked, but no less unstable, forcing Mahomes to scramble more than he'd like, and Andy Reid's scheming can't undo lingering injuries. They failed to make the Super Bowl for the first time in 4 years. That is the worst case scenario, that the Chiefs don't make it to the Super Bowl. I think long-time Chiefs fans recognize how absurd that is. And if you're a fan of another NFL team or just the league at large, you probably are picking up on how absurd that is. But that notion that the worst case scenario is anything that's not reaching the Super Bowl is utterly ridiculous. It is preposterous, considering where this franchise was before Andy Reid took over. Y'all remember the 2012 season. I don't need to bring up he who must not be named's name, or, I mean, that could apply to anyone, least of which the guy who, pulled the trigger at the facility. That is crazy to think, they can go to the AFC Championship game and take it to overtime and lose again like they did against the Bengals in the 21 season, and that's the worst case scenario. This NFL writer, a full-time guy who is paid to share opinions on the NFL, says the worst possible outcome for this season is just not making the Super Bowl. Whereas there are other teams that might have to tear the entire thing down, have to restart their quarterback clock, have to fire their coach and restart. All these different potential things. And you could go to the AFC Championship game, and that's the worst possible scenario. That is absurd. And that is also why I think NFL and football media have pretty much still been on the Chiefs are pretty good and Super Bowl contenders, maybe Super Bowl favorites train. But I feel like the public, and not just that idiot from Michigan we talked about on yesterday's show who said the Chiefs are bad because they had a Hallmark movie. I feel like the public is not giving the Chiefs enough attention and credit and hype this year. I understand they were not aesthetically pleasing to watch last season. I understand that Patrick Mahomes has not been a bona fide MVP candidate the last 2 years. Oh my gosh, wow, what a shocker. That's how ridiculous that 2 years of his, what will eventually be like 18-year career, he was not an MVP candidate. Oh my gosh, the horror. I understand those things. Guys, they have been to 3 straight Super Bowls. Look at who their quarterback is. Look at who their coaching staff employs. Look at the other pieces that I believe are better around Mahomes this year. The offensive line ideally will be better, even though you lost Joe Thuney, and I know that's tough. I think they are going to be better. I probably have undersold some of my concerns about losing Justin Reid and Turk Wharton a little bit. I mean, Wharton was fine. He was not a star. Justin Reid was very integral to the core of that defense. But I still think that defense with Steve Spagnuolo is going to be good. I think Jaden Hicks is in line for a breakout season here in his sophomore campaign. So I don't know about you, Spencer, but I think it is actually ridiculous to think that the worst case scenario for this team is just, not getting to the biggest game in American professional sports, American sports, not world sports in general. That lofty of an expectation, that lofty of a floor is almost incomprehensible.
It really is, but you have to look at this team. They talk about Super Bowls. That's all they talk about. well, we can go back to back to back. Can we be the first team to ever do that? Like, they were saying that at their parade.
Yeah, from the very first one, the very first Super Bowl 54. I'm not going to talk about Super Bowl 4. Super Bowl 54, 2019 season, February 2020, Chris Jones at the parade was talking about a dynasty. They talked about repeating then after Super Bowl 57. Talked about a three-peat right after 58.
If anything,
that's the expectation.
It's their own expectations, which you always like, but from the outside, I see why people see it that way, but I don't know. After losing the way they did in the Super Bowl this past year,
and like, look, I get
how can that be the worst case?
I get that that's like the thing that alters people's expectations from the outside. If you don't follow this team every day like we do, or you don't cover the NFL full time for a living, I can understand it. But at the same time, oh man, they got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. They've been to 3 in a row. No one has ever been to a third straight after winning 2. They've got the quarterback. They've got the pieces. Ideally, this wide receiver core is going to be healthy, and Patrick Mahomes is not going to be throwing to you and me out there come week 16 next year and into the postseason. So I am very, very hopeful that the rest of the sports following world starts to follow along and gets a clue that, yeah, this team really can be that good again. Let's get to the other teams in the AFC West, shall we? For the Denver Broncos, who earlier I said are going to go over their win total of 9.5. Best case scenario, win a playoff game. Worst case scenario, they finish last in the West. Here's where I've got some questions, though, Spencer. I'm going to tie the Broncos and the Chargers together. Because I said I think the Broncos go over 9.5 wins last hour. I'm actually picking the Chargers to go under. I'm more bearish on them than any other team in this division. So the Broncos' best case scenario is just win a playoff game. Worst case is you finish last in the division. For the Chargers, he says best case scenario is to get all the way to the AFC title game. Worst case scenario is one and done in the playoffs. That's the worst case scenario. His write-up, it's just a couple sentences here. Jim Harbaugh gets physical but sluggish results from a run-heavy approach. Herbert still can't quite translate his tools to do-or-die moments down the stretch, and the Bolts once again go one and done in the dance. Am I missing something? Because I think of the Broncos and Chargers being fairly similar. I think of the Broncos as being even a half a step ahead of the Chargers right now. And we're saying the worst-case scenario is playoffs for one and dead last in the division for the other? I don't understand that one.
Yeah, I don't either. How much did they really get better?
That's my question too.
Like,
yeah, I don't understand that one. And if you wanted to say that you think the Chargers will make the playoffs, I've got no problem with that. I think that's an extremely fair projection, prediction, expectation, whatever. But if you're going to say the Broncos could be last in the division, why couldn't the Chargers meet that same fate? I think it's absolutely possible. Especially because
last year in the playoffs, they lost by 20 to Houston.
They got blasted by a really unpleasant Houston team that was also super banged up. And I don't really know what they did to get – I don't know how much they did to improve on the things they clearly needed to improve on. That's my big question. I didn't mention Amarian Hampton earlier, who they drafted in the first round. I like Amarian Hampton. They got some speed at wide receiver in the second round, who, prospect I didn't love, but fine. I just think that's way too high of a floor to set for a Chargers team that we're still waiting to see win anything. I do like Jim Harbaugh. I'm higher on Justin Herbert than I know a lot of folks, you guys on the other side of the radio or this crew like, the level at which you like Justin Herbert. But I think that's way too lofty of an expectation for them.
They also signed one of the worst cornerbacks in the league, and they think he's good. Benjamin St. Juste. Sorry, that's a Commanders fan of me.
He's not very good. I will agree with you on that.
He's trash, but he's going to be like their third, fourth, fifth guy.
Yeah, I have real questions about that defense. And I know why they let Joey Bosa walk, and he's already hurt with Buffalo, but I have questions about how much they're going to be able to get after the passer. I am concerned. I will say that, especially on the defensive side for the Chargers. How about the Raiders, who, again, earlier I said I think are going to go over 6.5 wins this year. Best case scenario from this writer for the Raiders. Best case, sneak into the playoffs. Worst case, Geno Smith and Pete Carroll are bad, essentially. He says Smith's turnover streaks rear their head. Carroll's wisdom can't make up for a dearth of defensive backfield talent, and the Raiders are right back to square one in 2026. So I agree on best case scenario. I don't think they can do better than 7th seed. Like, maybe sneak in at 9 and 8, get lucky, get that 7th seed. I do think that is in the realm of possibility. I don't think anything could happen for the Raiders this year shy of Geno Smith having a career-ending injury that would put them back to year one, to square one. Pete Carroll's going to be there for a couple years. You've got Geno for a few years. You've got new management in terms of the front office who is trying to put this roster together. They've got problems in terms of talent. There's no doubt about that. They've got legit talent worries, the defensive backfield chief among them. But I don't really think there's any way they could go farther behind where they were to start this offseason, to be honest with you. They might not be good. They're still probably going to finish last in the division, but I don't think anything could happen that would put them back to square one, at least in my opinion.
Unless they get really mad and they fire Pete Carroll after one bad season.
Yeah, that's true. That would be very Raiders. Although I do think with Brady kind of controlling football operations now, they wouldn't jump at that. It would be very funny if they did, though.
Yeah.
It would be very funny if they did.
That's the only way I could see them starting back at square one.
And that's fair. But I don't know that's
But I don't see it happening.
Right. No, I see what you're saying in that regard. So that's the AFC West. Let's get to the teams around the AFC who we would consider to be the contenders. I went Bills, Ravens, Bengals, Texans. Any other teams you'd consider a contender in the AFC?
Not that I can think of.
No, I didn't think so either. So let's start with the Bills. Best case scenario, win the Super Bowl. Duh. Worst case scenario, lose in the wild card round. Yeah. Like, they're going to make the playoffs. There's no doubt in my mind they're going to make the playoffs. Are they? Let me think here. Are they the biggest? Should they be the biggest favorite to win their division in the NFL relative to the other teams in the division?
I don't know. I just feel like there's so many unknowns with that division. Like, what jump are we going to see from the Patriots?
Yeah,
with quarterbacking.
I think my answer is
Tua get it
yes.
together?
Yeah.
Because look, if
that's the biggest wild card.
If Tua can get it together, he has the weapons.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So, but if not, he's just going to be injured again.
I need to pull up, in fact, the odds for this because I'm curious what Vegas, or more importantly, our friends at Prairie Band, how they feel about this. I think I would give that honorific to the Bills. I think just relative to the other teams that are in their division, they're the one that should most easily win it. And I'm looking right now, in fact, they do have the shortest odds of any team to win their division from the numbers over at Prairie Band Sportsbook up in Mayetta. You'd have to put down $265 to win 100 with a future on the Bills. The second shortest odds, the Ravens at 143, minus 143. That is a significant difference. Chiefs have the third shortest odds to win their division at about minus 122. Chargers, then Broncos, then Raiders. I don't get it with the Chargers. I'm not buying the hype right now. I know Vance on YouTube had a comment. He's not buying the hype either. I know Vance is not a Justin Herbert fan. I know a lot of y'all aren't Justin Herbert fans, and I get it. You got to win a meaningful game at some point. Yeah. Trust me, I understand that. So, yeah, I would say that about the Bills. I've got no qualms with what Cody Benjamin wrote there. The Ravens, pretty much the same thing. Best case scenario, win the Super Bowl. Worst case scenario, they're just too injured when they get to the playoffs, and they also flame out. I think that's fair. Yeah. That's something they've had to deal with a lot in recent years. In the AFC North, by the way, and we'll get to the Bengals here in a second, they've got Ravens, Bengals, then a steep drop-off to the Steelers, and the Browns are not going to win that division. Bengals belong over the Steelers in terms of odds to win the AFC North?
Yes.
I think so.
Speaking of Browns, the wording for their best case is kind of funny.
All right, let's get to it while we're on the topic.
It's like, it says one of Cleveland's younger quarterbacks, likely Kenny Pickett, 27, or Shedeur Sanders, 23, emerges from a crowded room and stripped down offense to give the city a much-needed long-term hope under center. Kenny Pickett is nobody's long-term hope under center.
Kenny Pickett sucks.
Yes.
He is a very bad player.
I just scrolled past it and I had to go back to read it again.
Worst case scenario, quantity doesn't equate to quality at quarterback. The Browns cycle through passers. Flacco, again, looks like their best bet. and it's going to worsen their draft position if he wins a couple games for 2026. Their worst case scenario is you exist as the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
They're their own worst case scenario every game, every season, every year. That's just the fact of the matter.
And the fact that this guy thinks Kenny Pickett can be somebody is kind of funny.
He's terrible.
I
bought in his second year in Pittsburgh, and I said I'm going to be a Pickett guy, and then he stunk again, and I said never again. I'm all the way out.
Exactly.
Real quick on the Bengals. Best case scenario, do you think they have the ability to reach the Super Bowl?
Ooh, if they figure out the contract situation with
Trey Hendrickson. They need to be better defensively, and that I don't think they can. I think Al Golden can give a little spark to that defense. He's worked with younger guys. He's been a developmental coach these last couple of seasons as a defensive coordinator at the college level. I think he can help that defense. I am a Lou Anarumo fan, even though he got fired.
Yeah.
I think Golden can help, but they are so bereft of talent and they don't have Hendrickson. Shamar Stewart, we'll get to him a little bit later on, their first-round pick at defensive end. He left minicamp, still without a contract. That is an absolute mess. I don't think they can reach the Super Bowl this year.
No.
I would love it because I really enjoy watching them. And I'm sorry, Chiefs fans. I would be very happy to see my guy Joe Burrow win a championship at some point. I don't think they can do it right now. I have too many concerns about that defense. Finally, best case scenario for the Texans, win a playoff game. Worst case scenario, they have a losing season. Do the Texans have the ability to do more than win a single playoff game?
I don't think so.
So would you say they're out of the contender class? Because I'm leaning toward yes. And I shared this a couple weeks ago talking to Dan. And when we do our NFL picks come August, I'm going to re-up this opinion. I think the Jaguars are going to win that division this year.
That's what I was about to say. I think the Jaguars are – I think you bring in a mind like Liam Cohn, and you can – things hopefully finally mesh between Trevor Lawrence and your offense, the way that it runs. And you have the guys that you have at receiver. I'd be interested to see what their defense looks like again this year and see how much – Travis Hunter plays cornerback. How much they rely on him to do both things.
Sure.
But I think that they could be the division winners there.
Yeah, I think this is pretty accurate for Houston. They get to the postseason and win a game. I would not put them in the contender class right now. We have, so I included them here, but I don't think they're nearly in the same tier as the Broncos. Well, not the Broncos, excuse me, looking at the wrong list. As the Bills, the Ravens, even the Bengals, because they might have the best offense in football, and certainly the Chiefs at the top of that list as well. We've got What Is Wrong With You, brought to you by Ryan Mo Winkle and Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. Coming up next, we'll talk some All-Star game later on this hour. It's all coming up, 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. Once a day on 580 Sports Talk, we pay tribute and pay homage to some of the dumbest people on earth. It is What Is Wrong With You, and it's brought to you by our guy Ryan Winkle, and Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. Hit our guy up online, RyanMoWinkle.com. That's MOHWINKLE, RyanMoWinkle.com. You can also call him 785-273-1572. Big shout out to Mo for sponsoring What Is Wrong With You. Our current winner for the week. Give me a tip or I empty the clip. A 19-year-old girl didn't tip her DoorDash driver last week. The driver got liquored up the next day, showed up at her house with a gun. And an adult man at the house, well, he wasn't taking it. So he fought the drunk DoorDash driver, took the gun from him, and then by the time the cop showed up, the guy said, I was pretty drunk.
It's kind of funny to me, like, is this the only time that something's ever happened? Because, like, it really dug in deep for him to come back the next day while he was drunk and bring a gun. Like, yeah,
it really bothered him. That's a good point.
Yeah. Like,
he just got really drunk, I guess. Really, really drunk. All right, Spencer, you are up first. What do you have for our number one entry today in What Is Wrong With You?
Well, I had to do some double checking and reading into this because this sounded like a story we had a few weeks back.
Oh.
A man faces charges after Pinellas County deputies say he called 911 claiming security at a club took $300 from him, money he used in an attempt to pay for an employee.
We had this story the other day.
This other day?
Yep.
This happened the other day.
Yeah, we had the story the other day. Our guy, Sultan Al Nofe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Saudi Arabian national who's a college student and who tried to pay for sex at the strip club.
Yeah, it just came up here to me today.
Yeah, we had this one the other day.
Dang.
If you have time to find another one, I'll go first.
You go first.
All right. You have to be What Is Wrong With You, though, by the way. Spencer is our first What Is Wrong With You. All right, so we'll go with my story first here on What Is Wrong With You, brought to you by Ryan Mo Winkle. We're going to Florida. You'll never believe it. I don't understand why people keep going to the bathroom in public. I do not understand why this continues to be a problem. But a Sam's Club had to destroy more than $10,000 worth of Spam and Vienna sausages after a 70-year-old man urinated on them. Cops charged that a witness spotted 70-year-old Patrick Mitchell relieving himself in aisle number 18 at the Sam's Club in Lady Lake near Orlando. The witness used her cell phone to take a picture of the defendant and reported the incident to store employees. Managers reviewed surveillance footage and spotted a man walking up to the pallets and placing both hands in front of him below the belt line, and he stood there for several seconds. Behavior consistent with urination. Thank you, Detective Ronnie Williams. Upon inspecting the area, workers confirmed there was urine on 2 pallets of Spam containing 188 bulk units of Vienna sausages and 345 units of Spam Classic. The merchandise was contaminated with bodily fluids, and they had to be destroyed, totaling $10,584.54. After he went to the bathroom on the Spam, though, Spencer, he was recorded in the store just strolling around the snack section. Then he went to the patio furniture and sat down for 10 minutes before he got up, walked to register number 2, paid for items he had picked up, and left. You know how they were able to identify him? Because you have to use your membership card, which is tied to your name and address. Yeah. He was arrested at his home in the Villages, one of 2 places where 2 houses that he and his wife own. He is a former resident of Long Island. He's been in Florida for the last 3 years.
All right, I got a fraud story for you.
All right, good. We'll do a fraud story. Second story on What Is Wrong With You. Can you beat the Spam Wizard? That's a terrible name, but we're going to roll with it.
A Florida man is now facing charges in Michigan after police say he tried to pass a bad check at a Shelby Township bank. Billy Pierce, 21, of Homestead, Florida, was charged with uttering and publishing and state ID counterfeiting after his arrest last month. He allegedly tried to pass a $5,000 check at a Fifth Third Bank on Van Dyke the afternoon of May 29th. However, the staff noticed inconsistencies with the check and called police because they believed it was fake. When officers arrived, he allegedly refused to speak to officers, would not provide his name and try to walk away. He was arrested and brought to the police station where they say they found fraudulent identification and more fraudulent credit cards on him.
That is never going to work.
Yeah.
If the police show up and say, we need to talk to you, if you just try to walk away, it is not going to work. Never. Never has, and it never will. Come on now. All right, Spencer, your fraud story. We got the sausage Wizinator here. Who we got today?
Sausage Wizinator.
I just don't get it. We've had so many of these stories recently. Why do people keep going to the bathroom in public, in stores, on top of spam at the Sam's Club, or in the beer cave at your liquor store? Stop doing it. The Delco pooper, dropping one on someone's car. I don't get it. Keep that stuff in the bathroom. We have toilets for a reason. We are a civilized society. At least we should be. People raised in a barn? Damn. Does that beat give me a tip or empty the clip?
No.
Nah, I don't think so. That story's nuts. That it took a whole day. He got liquored up the next day and decided to go back. Not like it was the same night. Not like he never left after not getting the tip originally. He went back the next afternoon, which is just bananas to me. Give me the tip or I empty the clip. That is once again our winner in What Is Wrong With You, brought to you by our guy Ryan Winkle, and Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. Stop by his office, 3625 Southwest 29th Street. Our guy Mark on YouTube said he drove by the offices just the other day. That's over on 29th. You can also find him online, ryanmowinkle.com. Which Kansas City Royals have a shot at making the All-Star game this year? We'll tell you who one ESPN writer predicts will make it to the Midsummer Classic next on 580 Sports Talk. .441, 580 Sports Talk. I'm Brendan. That's Spencer. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Talk some more Royals baseball next hour. Get you ready for tonight's series finale between the Royals and the Yankees. To Royals fans of a certain age and generation, that is your chief rival. We were talking Royals rivalries the other day. That is still number one for some of those battles in the late 1970s. So we'll preview the series finale coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll also play some Sports Jeopardy. Spencer will try to stump me with some hockey questions today. But right now, I wanted to get to a piece I saw this week from David Schoenfield. I was saying it was Bradford Doolittle earlier. He wrote a different story I read earlier today about what the Royals need at the trade deadline, and the answer was just offense. Yeah, no doubt. But it was David Schoenfield of ESPN, actually, who put together his list of projected starters, reserves, and pitchers for the AL and the NL in the All-Star game this year. He's got 3 Royals in the field. If you had to guess, Spencer, let's start here. If you had to guess without reading yet, which, and if you already read, thank you for doing the notes.
I did not.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for not reading the notes. I'm serious about that. Who would you guess are the 3 Royals he puts on the All-Star rosters?
Bobby Witt Jr., Miguel Garcia, Chris Bubic.
Bang. Look at that. Didn't even read. That's the 6th sense right there from Spencer Dupuis. Yes, those are his 3 Royals he's got in the All-Star game. And 2 of them he's got as fighting for starting spots in the game. First, at shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. versus Jeremy Pena versus Jacob Wilson. Pena is in Houston. He's been really good this year. Wilson, he is with the A's this year. Bobby Witt Jr., we obviously know he's a Kansas City Royal. He ends up picking Bobby Witt Jr. as the starter at shortstop. Lower batting average than the other 2, lower on base. Slugging is second of the 3, 8 home runs, 135 OPS plus. He has more wins above replacement, at least according to Fangraphs, than either of those other 2 players. Do you, Spencer Dupuis, believe Bobby Witt Jr. should start the All-Star game? I tend to lean yes, because generally speaking, I think All-Star games should be about the best players, not necessarily the biggest brand name. But A, Bobby Witt Jr. is the biggest brand name, and I know KC fans are going to vote for him. Secondly, I still think if you're talking about like actual star power and actual value to their respective team, I still think Witt is number 1 with a bullet in this group.
Oh, yeah. I would 100% agree. I think it helps that, why am I forgetting his name off the top of my head? Orioles shortstop.
Gunnar Henderson.
Gunnar Henderson is not having, I think he's hurt so far this year. He's not having a great year. So it helps my who's the best shortstop plotting.
That's true. I think that conversation is over. And I believe you are correct. I don't know. Does that come from Orioles hatred, or is that like you just developed that naturally?
I just think he's a good player.
Gunnar Henderson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's a good player, definitely.
So
Bobby Witt Jr. is better, though.
Yes, but
Without
I'm saying
question.
I feel like that's been the talk,
Sure.
right?
Sure. Yeah, and to have Henderson not even in the mix.
Yeah, and to have him not in the mix here at the time we're voting is like, yeah.
So
it's a lot easier to pick Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah, he's got Bobby Witt as a starter. I think Witt should be in. I agree. He's got Miguel Garcia in as well as one of 2 backup third basemen. He's also got Isaac Paredes of the Astros, and his starter is Jose Ramirez of the Guardians. By the way, it seems impossible that after years and years and years and years of saying that Jose Ramirez is underrated, you'd think at a point you'd be like, okay, he's overrated at this point because you're talking about it so much. He's still underrated. He's got a 938 OPS. He's batting .331. He's got 12 home runs, 33 driven in. Dude, he's so good. Yeah. He's on pace for another 6+ win season. He's got nearly 55 wins above replacement in his career. He is awesome. That's a Hall of Fame player. He's finished top 3 in MVP voting 3 times, top 5 times. He's an unbelievable player. So that is his group of third basemen. I think Garcia belongs in. Miguel Garcia is having a great year.
Oh, 100%. He's having one of the best years of his career, probably the best year of his career so far.
He's versatile. He's a good glove. 2 wins above replacement so far, 1.9 according to Baseball Reference. Batting over 300. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. He's got better batting stats than Bobby Witt Jr. has right now, which he's not a better player than Bobby Witt Jr., but he's having a better season so far, at least in that regard, than Witt is. That's a no-doubter. He also had Chris Bubic in the running for starting pitcher in the All-Star game. This piece was published before last night. So Bubic allowing 5 runs in the 2nd inning, not factoring into this decision. But here is what David Schoenfield of ESPN had to say about Bubic in the running. Tarek Skubal is making a strong push to defend his 2024 AL Cy Young, while Bubic has put up a surprisingly dominant first half for the Royals. Excuse me. I added a word there. Bubic, who pitched in 27 games all in relief last season, is a 27-year-old lefty, former first-round pick, had Tommy John in 23. His fastball isn't overpowering, but he has added more spin than before his surgery to improve its whiff rate, and his changeup is one of the best in the game. Opposing batters entering last night, I don't know if the updated numbers, they were batting just 100 against his changeup. That's crazy. Probably not going to maintain his ERA, but he's been really good, not just lucky. The funniest thing about that is it is very clear he was writing for an audience who has no idea who Chris Bubic is, which is hysterical, honestly. Because Skubal, yeah, he's done it before. He was the Cy Young. I'm going to stick with him. Strikeout to walk ratio is incredible. He's heating up. Yeah. Tarek Skubal should start. He's been incredible. I think Max Fried is going to make it as well. He probably has a slight argument, but no, Tarek Skubal is the best pitcher in baseball right now, right there next to Paul Skeens. So cool to have two young pitchers who are that good. I don't actually know how young Tarek Skubal is. I don't know his exact age. If I could spell, it'd be much easier for me to search. He is 28, so he's not super young, but he's going to be in Major League Baseball for a substantial amount of time. Yeah. So he ain't going anywhere here in the near future. But yeah, I'd go Skubal, but Bubic should be on the team, even with a dud last night. Chris Bubic obviously should be an all-star. Independent of this list, what would your list look like of Royals in the all-star game? I think I would argue for a fourth. I would argue for a fourth Royal, which sounds crazy for a 500 team. I don't know that he would make it, but I think you could at least argue for one more. Who would your list be of Royals All-Stars? Same group, more or fewer?
Same group plus Carlos Estevez.
Okay, that's the name I was thinking of as well. And I don't know. That
might only be because he's had to work so much.
Yeah, he's been out there a ton, but he's also been awesome when he has been out there so far.
But I've seen him so much.
Right.
Like the Royals, as we talked about on Monday, and I talked about what I said on text over the weekend. Like, they don't make it easy.
No,
it's always a save situation if they're winning.
He's got 19 saves. That leads the American League, an ERA of 1.88. He's been really good. He doesn't strike out a ton of dudes. 8.5 per 9 innings. I would put Estevez in. The risk you run is there just might not be a lot of relievers. There are a lot of starters who have a good argument to make it in, and that makes it hard for a reliever. But hey, you've got to at least give some acknowledgement to the guy who leads the American League in saves, right? Like, that's at least got to be part of the equation. I would argue for 4. 3 is probably fair. Garcia certainly deserves to get in. Bobby Witt deserves it and is going to get voted in. And you got to put Bubic in. And that makes it even more frustrating when the Royals go through a stretch like this and clearly need to get some more help here at the trade deadline. I'm going to ask Spencer about the trade deadline here in a moment. We're also on the other side of this final commercial break of this 4 o'clock hour going to get to some movie news because my favorite movie is getting a sequel. We'll tell you about it next on 580 Sports Talk. I was saying earlier on the show, Spencer, that I am at a point where I think the Royals need multiple bats at the trade deadline. Like, the offense is in such shambles. I think they need multiple guys. But I don't think they can get multiple.
No. What do you have?
Right.
Like, you're not going to trade, is it Duvernay?
Devaney. Cam Devaney.
You're not going to trade him.
No, probably not at this point.
No.
Because your second base of the future is a total question mark right now.
Yeah.
With Massey's problems. So, you're not going to trade him. Blake Mitchell is probably not worth trading because you don't know how long you're going to have Sal, especially Sal as a catcher. And you don't have any other capital because your prospect system stinks.
And you just brought your best one up.
Yeah, so I just don't know. The best.
I mean, I think there might have been one with Rave, but you brought him up.
The best trade chip you have, I think you could argue, other than Blake Mitchell, a prospect catcher who's a top 100 guy, that's valuable. I would argue that the best trade piece they have is Seth Lugo, who starts tonight, by the way. We'll preview tonight's game in a little bit.
I have another argument. Their best trade piece, because of his contract situation, is Chris Bubic.
He's too good, though, man.
Yeah, but they have another year of control, and then he's going to be a free agent.
Yeah. I don't think you can give that up.
I don't think you can, but like that's the most you have.
Yeah.
That's the flashiest thing you have up there.
You would get the best player back.
Yeah.
I just don't think especially with cost control, I don't think they'd be willing to go there. I do think they'll put Lugo on the market, though, if he's not already. I do think that is within the realm of possibility. Shoot, I'd take him in Chicago.
It is funny to look at the batting averages for the guys down in Omaha. Not good.
No.
Like average or below average.
How's our guy MJ doing?
217.
Okay. Up from where it was.
687 OPS. The only guy is Devaney. That's it.
Yeah. It's not a good system.
Yeah, I mean, you got...
Thanks, Dayton Moore.
You got Blanco.
Dyrone
Blanco, who is decent. He's hitting 258. Everybody else is pretty much below 258.
But we also know he's a quad A guy. Like he's not a... he's not a standout by any means. Real quick, I wanted to get to this because it came out earlier today. My favorite film is getting a sequel. Generally, I am against this. Like, old movie gets a later sequel. Like, what's the point? This is just a cash grab, obviously. The Happy Gilmore one, I also love Happy Gilmore. It's getting a sequel. It's a Netflix-only thing. I'm not completely... Like, it looks goofy, but it also looks pretty self-aware. Like, we know this is going to be stupid, which is fine. I'm much more willing to watch that than a movie that's trying to be too serious.
People want it.
Yeah, and like
giving the people what they want.
And Adam Sandler can do whatever he wants, right?
Yeah.
My favorite movie is Spaceballs. I don't know if you know this. My favorite film is Spaceballs.
Yes, I've heard.
I believe that I know every single word of the entire movie. I can say it from opening scene to start of the credits. I think I can recite the entire movie as it is going. I've seen it many times. I think it's hilarious. I love that movie. And earlier today, Mel Brooks announced that 38 years later, and it'd actually be 40 years when the movie finally drops, they're going to do Spaceballs 2 or whatever they're going to end up calling it. It might be Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money, which is what they teased in the original movie. It might be Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2, whatever it ends up being. I'm so excited. I'm sure it is going to suck. I'm sure it is not going to be a good movie. But you know what else I'm sure of? I'm going to be there opening night to watch it in theaters. It's coming out in 2027. Mel Brooks is going to be 99 years old when this movie releases, which is crazy. He looks incredible for 97. I want to be honest with you. Looks ridiculously good for 97 years old. I cannot wait. This trailer's on social media. I'm sure you can find it. If you just Google Spaceballs 2 trailer or new Spaceballs sequel trailer, you'll be able to find it. I really do think this is one of the funniest movies of all time. Vance, appreciate it on the YouTube. May the Schwartz be with you and also with you. He even ends the trailer. He says in the trailer, after 38 years, we asked what the fans want, and then we still ended up making this movie, or we ended up making this movie instead. May the Schwartz be with you. Absolutely awesome. Mel Brooks, you're a legend. Also, Rick Moranis is back. He hasn't acted in anything in decades, and they got Rick Moranis back for it. That's awesome. We have to get to one more news break and a commercial break here at the top of the hour, but when we come back, 5 o'clock hour of the show, we've got our 580 Sports Talk headlines for today. We'll play a little sports trivia Jeopardy, and we'll preview Royals versus Yankees tonight. It's all coming up after the news right back here on 580 Sports Talk. of 580 Sports Talk coming your way here on 580 AM, 104.9 FM in the capital city, online at 580WIBW.com, and of course on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you so much for spending some of your afternoon hours with us, especially for those of you who are regular video watchers. Had a snafu at the start of the broadcast. Thanks, Google. Internet problems far beyond my realm of understanding, but it's all set to go. We thank all of you who are watching or listening along with the show today. I'm Brendan Dworzinski. On the other side of the glass is the one and only Spencer Dupuis. Dan Lucero is out until Monday. He and his family on vacation down in the Southeast. They'll be back, and I'm sure he'll have plenty of stories to share coming up next week here on the show. Big thanks to everyone sharing Spaceballs quotes in the YouTube comments, by the way. Tremendous.
You're enjoying it.
Oh, man, it's so good. I love that movie so much. Shout out to Bill Pullman. If you missed any of the show up to this point, you're in luck because you never have to miss a single interview, segment, what is wrong with you, anything, because you can find the show in podcast form on our website, 580WIBW.com. That's where you've always been able to find the podcast. You can watch or listen from your desktop. Just go to the website. There's a podcast tab. Click on 580 Sports Talk. Boom. That's where you can find it. Also, you can go and find it on Spotify. That's right. Spotify was also down earlier today, but you can just go to the app, search 580 Sports Talk. Maybe you got it on your desktop. You got it on your web browser, whatever it might be. Search 580 Sports Talk. Boom. We're right there. Again, hour by hour. You can follow us so you are always notified when you are getting the new, or when there's a new episode posted, so you can listen right away. You can leave us a review. You can rate us, hopefully 5 stars, please. And you can find all of it on our Spotify. Just search 580 Sports Talk. Never miss a moment of 580 Sports Talk.
We have a word with somebody.
Uh-oh.
We have 6 reviews.
Okay.
We have 4.8 stars.
Oh, damn.
We didn't have a word with somebody.
Have any of the reviews been negative?
I don't know where to find reviews. I have to look.
If you ever leave a review for us and you've got some sort of question, we'll try to do a better job of actually reading them. And we'll bring your mailbag question to the show. That's my promise to you. You leave us a review. It's got to be 5 stars or I'm going to yell at you. I'm just kidding. But it's got to be 5 stars. Leave us a review. Leave us a question in your review. We'll get to it on the show. That's my promise to you.
Spotify for podcasters makes no sense.
Have you looked at it from the consumer end?
On both sides. I can't figure out.
Spencer is our Spotify czar. He has put all that together. He's been leading that charge.
I got to start creating polls for our Spotify listeners.
We're going to keep bringing you the content. We're going to keep modifying, getting better for you. That's our promise to you. All right, let's get to some 580 Sports Talk headlines here, Spencer. We're also going to do some Sports Jeopardy later on this hour, and we'll preview Royals versus Yankees. And speaking of Royals-Yankees, why don't you lead us off with the little nugget you dropped on me during the news break at the top of the hour?
Yes, there's also another player not in the lineup, too. The Yankees posted their lineup, and the best player on earth is not in the lineup. Aaron Judge.
Not in the lineup today.
Jazz Chisholm, which is good for Royals fans. Good for the bit.
Yeah.
And is DJ LeMahieu still on their team?
Yep.
He's not in the lineup either.
He does suck, though. He is very bad. He's been like a league average hitter over the last 3 weeks, and all of his production is still well below.
You do have to still deal
with
Anthony Volpe and Cody Bellinger.
Is Jason Dominguez playing?
Who?
Jason Dominguez?
Yes.
Okay.
Jason Dominguez and Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, he had a big night the other night as well. Your Royals lineup for tonight: India playing second, Witt at short, Garcia hitting third at third base, Pasquantino cleanup, he's at first, Perez hitting fifth, your DH. That's good. He's always better as a DH, batting-wise these days. Caglianone's hitting sixth and right, Lofton's your left fielder hitting seventh, Freddie Fermin behind the dish, Kyle Isbell per usual in the 9-hole in center field, all in support of Seth Lugo on the mound tonight for the Kansas City Royals. Pregame begins at 6 o'clock on the dot, right here on your home for Royals baseball since play began back in 1969. The sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW. First pitch from Kauffman Stadium at 6:40 today. Let's get to a little college basketball for my first headline of the day. From the Big 12 Conference, the Big 12 men's and women's basketball 25-26 opponents have been released. This is conference play. This is not the exact dates of every game, but with the size of the league now, 16 teams, you play 18 conference games. It was 20 last year. They're back to 18 this year. You can't play everyone twice. Unfortunately, the days of the Big 12 round robin 18 game schedule, the way of the dodo, it is over. It is done with. So here's who the KU men and K-State men are going to play home, away, and head-to-head twice. KU has home-and-home series. We already had this spoiled yesterday against K-State, Iowa State, and Arizona. K-State is going to play home-and-home with KU, TCU, West Virginia.
Yeah, I got a gripe with how, so on the women's side, I'm assuming it's the same. It says in their release that they did it based upon geography. That makes no sense.
The women for Kansas, I know, is not the same. They'll play Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech.
Yeah.
K-State plays KU, Iowa State, Houston on the women's side as their home and homes. So if it's based on geography, how do the two teams at the same school have different schedules if it's based on geography?
Let me find exactly where I'm quoting this from. It'd be number 2. Yes. Here.
Opponents were selected to best balance the schedule in terms of travel and competitiveness.
That's travel.
But that also doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be based on, like, oh, we're going to put these two teams together because of the best. That's artificially weighting the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like K-State's not playing Iowa State twice.
It's stupid.
That's stupid.
KU,
100%.
K-State, Iowa State, as I said yesterday, should play home and home in basketball for the men and the women. They should play in, well, Iowa State doesn't have baseball, but every sport that they have, they should play the maximum number of times against each other head-to-head every single year. I firmly, honestly believe that. And if you told me that you were going to do a selection of KU, K-State, Iowa, and even Oklahoma State, and it was always going to be that group, fine. Totally fine. I have beef with KUs in general. I would have rather have been Colorado for the history. I would have much rather it have been BYU. So we got two matchups between Darren Peterson and AJ Dibansa. Arizona, I mean, fine. It's high profile, but I do not like that. K-State's grouping, again, KU, TCU, West Virginia, kind of a weird setup. So KU, the teams they will only play at home: Baylor, BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, TCU, Utah. KU will only go on the road to face Arizona State, UCF, Colorado, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, West Virginia. Spencer, I'm going to be honest with you, and you obviously carry a different perspective on matters of Kansas basketball than I do. I think this is a really favorable schedule for KU, all things considered. And we still have to find out, when are they going to play? What are the back-to-backs going to be? Are there going to be long road trips, et cetera? But Baylor, BYU, Houston, all home only? That's pretty favorable, all things considered. You get at least one game against Arizona at home. Going on the road, Arizona State, I don't think will be very good. I don't expect UCF will be great. I don't think Colorado will be very good. I don't think Oklahoma State, they should be better, but I don't think they'll be all that great. Tech should be good. West Virginia, hard to say at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
that sets up pretty favorable.
If West Virginia is good, playing them in Morgantown is going to be tough.
Even if they're mediocre, playing them in Morgantown is tough. But if they're bad, I mean.
But also, it's KU, so
it'll be jumping regardless.
Yeah, but that game versus West Virginia in Morgantown is probably going to be a 9:30 local.
That late?
They do that when they play the big Big 12 teams.
Interesting. Yeah,
it kind of sucks.
I'm sure it does. So that'd be 8:30 Central Time then, I assume.
Or 8:30 local.
8:30 local, 7:30 Central. Okay, that makes sense.
They've had a few late starts.
Okay, that would make sense. I think that schedule, in terms of the opponents, actually lines up really well for KU. K-State is going to play Baylor, BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, Iowa State, and Utah all at home. So they'll get Iowa State at least at Bramlage. On the road to face Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Houston, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech. I also think that lines up pretty well for K-State, all things considered. Huge news for both of these teams. Neither has to travel to the state of Utah this year. And after the way last season went, Absolutely nobody is going to complain about that. While we're on it, I will give you the women's teams as well. Want to make sure we're giving full coverage for everybody. The Kansas women, as I said, K-State, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech will play home and away. Home only, BYU, Cincy, Colorado, Houston, Utah, West Virginia. So the Kansas women don't have to go to Utah either. Away, they'll play Arizona, Arizona State, Baylor, UCF, Iowa State, and TCU. The K-State women, they get KU, Iowa State, Houston as their home and home series teams. They will get to host at home BYU, Cincinnati, Colorado, Oklahoma State, Utah, West Virginia. The two Arizona schools, Baylor, UCF, TCU, Texas Tech, all on the road. Lots of time in the state of Texas this year for Kansas State women's basketball. But that's your update on the Big 12 schedule. We'll know, I'd assume in September sometime, what the actual schedule is for the Big 12. Mark on YouTube, he says, two questions. Mark B on YouTube. Who are Colorado's home and home teams? I can tell you because I still have it up in front of me. For the Colorado men, they are going to play Arizona State, Texas Tech, and Utah as their home and homes. See, okay, Utah makes some sense because they kind of had that Rocky Mountain rivalry thing going when they were in the Pac-12 for a decade. Kind of get that. They were Big 12 mates for a little bit with Texas Tech. Arizona State, I mean, yeah, they were Pac-12 together. I'd rather see Colorado play old Big 8 teams. I would rather see some of that tradition. Mark B also says K-State's return matches make no geographic sense. TCU and West Virginia. Yeah, I think it's a major cop-out, honestly, by the Big 12 to say it's about travel and competition level. So which one trumps the other? I don't think it makes any sense. I don't like the way these are set up, but it is what it is for the 18-game Big 12 basketball schedule this year. Spencer Dupuis, what's our next headline?
Yeah, we're kind of light on news today, but the Chiefs did speak to the media today, select players along with Andy Reid. And one player we've been talking about all offseason is offensive lineman Kingsley Suamataia. He had media press availability today, and it's about a minute clip here of them talking about his move to left guard. So kind of low on news today, so why don't we play this?
Just being a
So Kingsley Suamataia gets more comfortable with the move to left guard. And I think that this offseason works huge for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's been working there ever since the end of last season. I think he can be a pretty decent guard. I don't know that he's going to be an all-pro. A lot of good guards in the NFL are guys who had transitioned over from tackle. If he's as bad at guard as he was at tackle, he's not going to be in the NFL past the first contract.
Yeah. Also, I got one more little, it's a soundbite. It's a quote here from head coach Andy Reid about the progress first rounder Josh Simmons made so far. He's in good shape. He's here quite a bit. He's one of those guys that you kind of got to kick out of the building.
Okay.
So, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
He's there more like he's in the building. He's getting rehab. He's watching film probably, doing some stuff that needs to be done in the building, but you got to kick him out. So,
all right. I can live with that.
Yeah.
You can handle that. All right, let's get to our next headline here from the NFL. In fact, we're going to go around the NFL. We've got a number of pieces of news. As Spencer said, it's not – yesterday we could not quit with the news. Today we are a little bereft of it, but we've got some pieces of news from around the league. Let's give you an update on as the Bengals turn. This from ESPN. Shamar Stewart leaves Bengals minicamp amid contract dispute. Again, if you missed the show yesterday, Shamar Stewart was the 17th overall pick in this year's NFL draft. Defensive end out of Texas A&M. Freakish athletic traits. He has not signed his rookie contract yet. He is looking for a certain type of language in his contract. The Bengals have said no. I do not know if this is something Stewart is asking for in addition or if it's something the Bengals are intentionally trying to leave out. Regardless, Stewart said last week he's right. The Bengals are wrong. The Bengals don't care about winning games. They just care about winning the argument. That is damning for a rookie who hasn't even signed his contract to say about the team that drafted him. But this is the writing of Bengals beat writer Ben Baby. That's a lot of B alliteration. Bengals rookie defensive end Shamar Stewart left mandatory minicamp Thursday amid a contract dispute. He has not participated in any of the team's offseason workouts. According to a source, the dispute is centered on the interpretation of language in the contract that could affect guaranteed money. Coach Zach Taylor today said, quote, he wasn't here today, so we just focused on the guys that were here. Taylor said that he has had positive conversations with Stewart amid the dispute, adding that Stewart has attended meetings, been positive in that aspect of his approach. Then went on to say, for all rookies, you'd like for them to be on the field, but certainly there's things that happen over the course of an NFL career, and this is one of them right now. He did say, however, he wasn't thrilled about those comments from Stewart when he said, quote, in my case, I'm 100% right. I'm not asking for nothing that's never been done before, but in the team's case, y'all just want to win an argument instead of winning more games, in my opinion, end quote. Zach Taylor went on to say, quote, number one, we want to protect our team in our locker room. I understand when there's frustration there. That's how he chose to do it, and that's his prerogative, and we look forward to getting him back in the fold. Of course, Trey Hendrickson still without a deal as well. I thought this was interesting from Jordan Rodrigue, who is the Rams beat writer for The Athletic, but she also does kind of big picture, full NFL reporting, and she's a guest on a couple of different NFL podcasts, NFL Daily and Heed the Call. She posted this on Blue Sky earlier today, and I think it's really interesting. She says, I think the thing that makes me the angriest about the contract stuff with the Bengals is they aren't just asking Shamar Stewart, a player who had no control over where he was drafted, to break precedent in a contract. They're asking a 21-year-old rookie to be the face of ultimately what could be a blueprint for a new precedent for every other first-round contract if teams follow through on it. And you know teams in this league would. That would put Stewart at odds with his colleagues and ultimately his fellow NFLPA members. It's not just about this deal. Those contracts aren't perfect to begin with, but they were CBA negotiated. That does seem significant, and that really sort of enlightened me to the idea that the Bengals are trying to put him in a bind and are trying to mess with the CBA, which you can't get away with. That's not okay in any regard. So I don't know. Let's do an either or here because we did all over unders in the 3:00 hour. Either or, is Shamar Stewart going to report day one of minicamp?
Minicamp? No.
Or I'm sorry, of training camp. Excuse me.
I think no.
I don't think so either. The Bengals are willing to mess with guys like this. It's ridiculous, but that's just what they do. Elsewhere, let's go to the AFC West as we go around the NFL. J.K. Dobbins, who is the former Baltimore Ravens running back, most recently played this past season for the L.A. Chargers. He's not fired up about the Chargers not bringing him back. He has since signed a cheap one-year deal with the Denver Broncos. He said he's happy to be in Denver. He predicts great things for them. He also said, when asked about not being in the returning class of free agents to Los Angeles, he said, quote, he's where I need to be. I always have a chip on my shoulder, but yeah, that was a little weird. But it's business. It's for my agent to handle. Good luck to them. I'm a Bronco now. They get to see me twice a year. That's my thoughts on it. Going to have the chip on my shoulder, of course, but I'm here. I'm worried about winning. I don't want to just beat the Chargers. I want to go on. I want to get a ring. I've been in the playoffs every year I've played, so I'm tired of losing in them. That's my goal, to bring a Super Bowl to the city and be a blessing to the community. That sounds a little more than just that's for my agent to handle.
A little salty over there.
A little bit salty. It made a lot of sense why he signed there originally, right? Because he played for John Harbaugh. Then he went and played for Jim Harbaugh. There's a lot of intermingling with those rosters, coaching staffs, etc. That sounds a little personal. Yeah. Sounds a little bit personal.
You want to get the quick U.S. Open leaderboard here?
Yes, I did want to get to one more quick NFL headline, if you don't mind. This from Adam Schefter of ESPN. I think this is interesting. Brian Rowlap, who is a respected longtime NFL executive, who some consider as the potential successor to Roger Goodell, as NFL commissioner, is leaving the National Football League as executive vice president. He is now the CEO, or is going to become the CEO of the PGA Tour. He has been with the NFL for 22 years, and Goodell sent a memo to all executives and presidents to notify them of that today. That is significant.
Yeah.
Do you know how old Roger Goodell is? If you had to guess, how old do you think he is?
62.
66. A little bit older than you'd think.
I was going to say 65, but then I was like, he looks kind of older.
He's in pretty good
But
shape.
I do know he and Josh Harris talk about growing up in D.C. and going to RFK.
Okay.
They have before.
Were they friends? Did they know each other?
No, but they had to have grown up in the same time.
In the same bubble. Sure.
The same length of time.
Yeah.
Because they were good then.
How old is Josh Harris?
I would say probably right around the same age, right?
60 years old. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know how long Goodell just got a new contract, if I'm not mistaken, so I think he'll be around for quite a while.
I mean, he'll probably be around another, if you say 66, probably give him another 10 years.
At least 5, I think. I don't know when Paul Tagliabue retired.
Especially because of how much he's branching the NFL out and
finding a lot of success.
Doing
a lot of
all
success.
that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to go 5 to 10 more years and this guy wants to be, have a bigger impact and before he potentially takes over the NFL, I can understand why he'd want to move on.
Yeah.
Yes, you mentioned it. Let's get to a U.S. Open leaderboard check.
Yeah, not a good day for the big names that we're used to hearing. JJ Spawn is your leader at 4 under par.
Sure.
Finished with a 66 today. He is off the course. Tied for second, Thurston Lawrence, Sunjay M, Rasmus Nergard Peterson. The latter two are still on the course right now. Lawrence is off. They're at 3 under par. 2 under par, Siwoo Kim, Brooks Koepka, and then a lot at 1 under par. Some of the people you might recognize are Jordan Spieth, John Rahm, Cam Young. They are sitting at 1 under par. Adam Scott at even, Patrick Reed at even. They're all done for the day. And let me find here the professional sports franchise. Topeka, Kansas is tied for 54th. He was actually doing pretty well through, I believe it was the front 9.
Yeah, Gary Woodland. In fact,
Yes,
the very start of his round, he had 3 birdies in his first 4 holes, had a bogey in there as well.
Yeah, he was like in second for a good part of his round. He's tied for 54, 3 over par with last year's winner, Bryson DeChambeau. Scotty Scheffler also there. Rory McIlroy not having a good day either. He is 4 over par. Matt Fitzpatrick, Wyndham Clark, also 4 under par with Phil Mickelson and Cam Davis. So the big names not doing well here at the U.S. Open at Oakmont Country Club in PA.
Dan's not here, so we didn't do tournament picks. Who would have been your pick to win?
I don't know.
I would have gone to DeChambeau. I think this is a good course for dudes who drive it really far. But
yeah, I mean, he won last year, so.
Yeah, that would have been my pick, but I also don't know anything. Hey, one real quick update here to a college basketball headline from a few weeks ago before we get to the playoff roundup. Do you remember when we talked a couple weeks ago, Spencer, about Zakai Ziegler, the point guard at Tennessee, who had a great career?
Eligibility.
Yes, he was out of eligibility. He had played 4 years. No red shirts, no transfers, no medicals, nothing like that. No gray shirt, no blue shirt, none of that nonsense. Played 4 years, eligibility exhausted, and he sued for another year of eligibility just because he wanted another year. That case is not going to be heard. A Tennessee court has denied a preliminary injunction in the eligibility case brought forth by Tennessee basketball player Zakai Ziegler.
Did he not finish his degree? Was it I know he wanted to play another year, but why would you want to play another year? I don't get it. You're not going to make that much money.
I think that was the argument, was that by not allowing him to keep his eligibility, they were preventing him from being able to make money on his name, image, and likeness.
That's dumb.
It's very stupid.
Dude, you've gone through your time.
I know I've beaten this dead horse over and over again, but I'm about to bring out the whipping pole and do it again. I believe in the ability for athletes to move. I believe in their ability to make money. College athletes, obviously professionals. I think it's fine. I have no problem with it. I do think it is important to have restrictions on eligibility because the idea of it's mostly professional sports now, but non-professionals where you've got like 24, 25-year-olds playing with 18-year-olds is bizarre. At that point, you're running out of college sports. You're just becoming like professional minor league sports at that point. I think it's very odd. And while I don't want to limit the ability for players to move because I think free transfers are fine, I do not personally have a problem with it, even if it's annoying to have to relearn a new roster every single year for all of your favorite teams. I don't have a problem with that. I think players should be allowed to transfer whenever, wherever they want, because it's not always just the transfer is selfish or they're not a team player. These guys get told to leave all the time. That is very common. I know that for a fact. Football, basketball, men's sports, women's sports, all of it. Sometimes coaches tell guys to leave, so having those free transfers are a positive thing. That being said, I do think having more refined limits on eligibility will be a good thing. I would be fine, honest to goodness. I think the 4 or 5 years to play 4 is fine, with the current redshirt rule. I am open to the idea of 5 years. You get 5 years that no red shirts, no medical red shirts, no extra times transferring red shirts, no waiver, nothing. You get 5 years. I would be okay with that. I would be all right with that, or keeping the system 4 years plus 1 red shirt. The constant, I should get a year for this, a year for that. It's nonsensical. I really do believe that. All right, real quick, as we're pushing up against the break, let's get to today's edition of the Playoff Roundup.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
Last night in the NBA Finals, we had another great game. It's been an awesome finals so far. It's been a really good NBA playoffs so far. The Indiana Pacers have done it again. They trailed going into the fourth quarter, surged back in front, and win by 9 over the Oklahoma City Thunder, 116-107. The defense was great. Really shut down Chet Holmgren. Really shut down Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the clutch. Benedict Mathurin was the star of the show for the Pacers in the win, I believe, and I got to look this up to be certain. I believe he set a new record for points off the bench in an NBA Finals game. Yes, I'm sorry. 27 points off the bench for Mathurin, former 6th overall pick. That's the most as a reserve in a Finals game since 2011. TJ McConnell of the Pacers, he was also great. He became the first bench player ever in a Finals game to score double digits in points, to have 5 assists, and to have 5 steals in a single game off the bench. Awesome game for McConnell. Their defense was really good. Pacers now lead the series 2-1. Here's a note for you. Game 4 is tomorrow night, back again at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Oklahoma City has played 8 road playoff games this postseason. They're 4-4 straight up. They won their first 2 when they swept Memphis. They're just 2-4 in their last 6. They are 0-8 against the spread on the road in the postseason. NHL Stanley Cup Final, Game 4 tonight. Oilers-Panthers in Sunrise, Florida. The Panthers have a 2-1 lead in the series. Can Edmonton figure it out mentally and get the win? Spencer?
No.
Ooh, got the Panthers.
Yeah, I got the Panthers. I think the continuing of Canada not being successful in the Stanley Cup playoffs continues.
I am in agreement with you. I think the Panthers get it done tonight. That does it for today's 580 Sports Talk headlines and the playoff roundup. When we come back by popular demand, we're playing a little Sports Jeopardy. Spencer's your host today. That's coming up on 580 Sports Talk. 537 on 580 Sports Talk. Mark B on YouTube asked this question during the break. Who is Shamar Stewart's agent, the rookie who has not signed yet with the Cincinnati Bengals? LAA Sports Entertainment. I had not heard of them before, but they do have a handful of high-profile clients, including the Cook brothers, James and Dalvin. People forget that Dalvin's middle name is James and James's middle name is Dalvin. That's real.
I did not know that.
It's very strange, but it's also very funny. James Cook, notably, also looking for a new contract this year, but he showed up to minicamp, as we talked about yesterday, or maybe it was on Tuesday, because, quote, I like my money. Do find that to be, I love that quote. That's so funny. All right, Spencer, back by popular demand, because we played it a little bit on yesterday's show. You did a great job. Got 9 of the 11 questions right that I brought to you, including our double Jeopardy question. I've been informed this is going to be challenging, but we're going to play a round of Sports Jeopardy.
Yes, we are here.
Were you queuing up music?
Yeah.
Okay. I can vamp if you need. I can fill as much time as you need me to.
No, I think we're good here.
All right. Let's play.
Well,
Sports Jeopardy. False start. All right, give me a signal when you're ready, and then I'll go. All right, let's play Sports Jeopardy.
all right. The category is hockey.
Oh, God. Oh,
He played 20 years.
well, hold on. What's our dollar amount?
This is the $100 question.
Okay,
Or $200.
200. Yeah.
We're going ascending order.
All right.
$200 question here. For a hockey legend, he played 20 seasons in the NHL and became the first player to score became the player to score the most points in league history.
Who is Wayne Gretzky?
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
All right. At least I got one. I can
Yes.
live with that.
Your $400 question is, what, with teams like the Hershey Bears and the Hartford Wolfpack, the AHL stands for?
What is the American Hockey League?
Ding, ding, ding.
Have you? I assume you've been to AHL games before.
I have not.
No, real. Wow, I have done a hockey thing Spencer has not done. The Chicago Wolves, because it's like minor league baseball. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
Also, they
There's
play
just been
close to the
none.
suburbs.
There's been none. We're at near close. The Hershey Bears are the closest minor league team.
I don't know where
From where I'm
Hershey,
from.
Pennsylvania is relative to
It's like
anything.
2
Philly?
hours west of Philly.
2 hours west is still.
It's like-
okay, so it's kind of middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of.
Have you been to Hersheyland?
Yes, been Hershey Park.
Hershey Park. That's what it
Yes.
is. All right. I'll take hockey for 600, Alex.
All right, your $600
Ken.
question. There are this many games in a regular NHL season.
What is 82?
There you go.
All right. So what am I at? $1,200? All right.
Your $800 question.
That was easy.
This penalty is called when one player is pulled back by the opposition's stick.
What is hooking?
There you go. You've got it.
Bang! $2,000. Bang, bang, bang. I know my puck. Let's go. Puck's on net.
So we had 800.
We should be on the $1,000 question. Already got $2,000 in the bank. Let's run the rack.
At the start of each period and after goals, this occurs at center ice.
What is a face-off?
There you go.
Let's go. Oh, come on. You told me this was going to be hard.
All right.
Well, there is a bonus question, so maybe this one will be hard.
Final Jeopardy.
All right, Final Jeopardy. I'm wagering it all. $3,000 on the table. Let's go. I'm feeling it.
This is widely known as a term in the sport.
Okay.
It is named after a legend. It is when you score a goal, an assist, and get into a fight. This legend's name is.
Oh, it's one of two players. I'm trying to think of who it is. Oh, I know it's one of two players.
Because you say you've had a blanks hat trick.
Oh crap! It's one of two players. I know who both of them are. I just don't remember which one it is.
5.
Who is Bobby Orr?
And
Is it Gordie Howe?
Howe.
God, I knew it was one of the two. Son of a gun!
$0.
I knew it was one of them. Damn! I did know that. I've heard that phrase. It was one of the two.
Well,
I can't name many hockey players pre like 2010.
I changed that question
What was it originally?
the question that I found was a Gordie Howe hat trick consists of what?
Oh, yeah.
But I thought you would have gotten
Oh,
it.
yeah, that would have been easy.
So I wanted because I was like, everybody, like if you say somebody's name in a hat trick, you're going to know it involves the fight, the assist, and the goal.
God dang it.
Yeah.
Man, I was so confident. They're like, oh, these questions are going to be hard. Hard? This is hard. I know puck, brother. God dang. If you were a contestant on Jeopardy, what would your fun interview segment be? The part of the episode that I always fast forward through.
I have no clue.
You don't have any, like, fun, interesting thing you've done?
No. I don't know that I can
27 years on this earth, I have not done anything cool.
Not that I can think of. 27 years, I moved Midwest for no reason with this job.
You moved across the country when you were an adult for the first time?
Yeah.
You swam competitively?
Yeah.
You got stuff.
I swam against Michael Phelps. That's a joke.
Okay. Did you swim against someone who swam against Michael Phelps? Like 2 degrees separation?
I've swam against multiple people that have swam in the same pool as Katie Ledecky.
Okay. That's good. That is cooler than about 95% of the interviews on Jeopardy. Again, I fast forward. If I watch with my wife, she likes them, so we watch them. If I watch alone, I zip right through it.
When I was a kid, I was in the Washington Post because I was at the White House Easter egg roll. I made the front, but not the front page, but like the front, like lifestyle or something, whatever.
That's
like events.
cool.
Yeah.
What do you mean nothing?
I don't know. You put me on the spot, and I got to think about it. You know.
You could have said I need to think about it, not nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I might do something about when I went overseas, all the different various countries I saw. I might be really obnoxious and share the story about the time I went on TV at Lollapalooza because I ran behind a TV camera where a woman was on air. Probably should not have done that.
How old were you?
I was in college. I was
in journalism school, mind you.
Yes. This would have been Sunday.
That's funny though, because you're in journalism school and you know how much people hate that.
Yeah. I should have known. I didn't do TV. I was radio and print. I didn't do any TV. I believe it was the first Sunday of August 2015. Oh my God, that was a decade ago. Good Lord. Myself and one of my best friends, our whole group had already left. So we were leaving the festival. The ABC 7, the ABC affiliate in Chicago, was doing a hit right outside Grant Park, Chicago. And we saw the red light go on the camera. And, well, we decided to go have a little fun and make an ass of ourselves. I got home that day. Perfect reason that this be my Jeopardy story. I got home. My buddy's mom actually gave us a ride home. She had also been down there for Lollapalooza. She gave us a ride back to the suburbs. I walk into the house, and that was the TV station my parents always watch. My mother says to me, "What did you do?" Because they saw me and my buddy Will run behind the camera making faces looking like idiots. So, yeah, that would be my story.
Oh, I got another story for you.
What is nothing? I got nothing. I've never done anything cool. Come on.
So back when I was in high school, I was in this youth group thing that put on music festivals and whatever.
Okay.
They did like the Battle of the Bands.
Yeah.
Well, if you won the Battle of Bands, you got to open for the band that we had every year at this fest.
Uh-huh.
We had We the Kings one year.
Okay.
And
I heard of them.
Their bassist is a YouTuber.
Oh.
He actually holds the Guinness Book of World Records for most daily videos uploaded consecutively on YouTube.
What a bizarre record to have.
And I am a part of that record because I filmed for him on May 30th, 2015, day 2223. I filmed this concert.
I have never done anything cool in my whole life. Come on. Mark B on YouTube, he says, I share a birthday with Hugh Laurie. He's about 7 years older than I am. That's sick. That's pretty cool. We've got to get to a timeout. Gosh darn it, Spencer. We got to get to a timeout. When we come back, we'll preview the series finale between the Royals and the Yankees. That's coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. Finishing things up here on 580 Sports Talk. I misspoke with Mark's fact earlier, by the way. 7 hours difference between Mark B and Hugh Laurie. I think I said 7 days before. My apologies. I got that one bad. I'm still mad I missed that stupid question. I knew it was one of them. Gordie Howe. Yeah. God dang it.
See, if I would have given you it the way that it asked, though, you would have gotten it.
Oh, yeah, without question. Very easily. Man. It's about the writing. It's about the intricacies of it. All right. Not a whole lot of intricacies in the Royals game right now. Their offense stinks, and their pitchers have been battered in the first 2 games of the series against the New York Yankees. Trying to salvage one tonight. Final game of the series. 6 o'clock pregame start time. First pitch at 6:40 here on 580 WIBW. If the Royals win tonight, what is the roadmap? What does it look like if the Royals come away with a victory? I mean, it's got to start with Lugo.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that sucks, though. If Lugo's not perfect, can they win this game?
I think so.
Okay.
If the offense decides.
But like that, there's no reason to realistically be able to say this is the game the offense figures it out. Because like Will Warren, who's going to start tonight for the Yankees, he's, the basic baseball card stats, they're not especially good. He's got an ERA, I believe, of 5.34. Yeah, 5.34. He got a really good fastball. Does give up pretty hard hits. Doesn't get guys to chase pitches out of the zone. Does get a decent amount of swing and miss. He also walks a bunch of guys, lets guys barrel the ball up. He has been hit hard over the course of the season. Doesn't get a lot of ground balls. You're going to see a bunch of fly balls in this game. But there's no reason for me to be able to stake my claim to this is the game. You know what I mean? There's nothing that has given me any reason to feel like any individual game is the one where the Royals are going to figure it out. Based on the pitcher they're facing, their best chance.
Yeah.
Based on the desperation after losing the first 2 games of the series in blowout fashion, yes, that's there too. This offense is just so bad.
I also think the fact is that the best player on the planet's not playing for the opposing team tonight is essentially a gift.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I
would agree with that wholeheartedly.
He could DH.
Yeah, he could.
But they're not, unless he's hurt, which I doubt it.
I guess I'm curious why.
Yeah.
Why he would not play in this game. I don't know. Just give him a day off. I guess they don't feel like they need him to win, which is, I mean, if that was the case, I'd be PO'd if I was the Royals. Wow, they're showing us absolutely no respect. But again, I don't know how much that is really going to matter. I would love for this to turn around. But as we talked about earlier in the show, I think they're probably multiple bats away. As it stands now, with the players executing the way they're executing at this very moment, they are multiple bats away, even with the addition of Caglione, multiple bats away from being a competitive, contending offense.
Also, Aaron Judge's first day off today.
That's extremely disrespectful. I get it, but man, that's extremely disrespectful of the Kansas City Royals. We've got to get to one final timeout on 580 Sports Talk today. We'll come on back and we will wrap things up with the final word before Royals baseball here on 580 WIBW. Coming up tomorrow on a Feel Good Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk, we'll, of course, recap what is hopefully the Royals salvaging one game in their series with the Yankees, and we'll get you ready for Royals versus A's this weekend. Hopefully a few more winnable games for Kansas City. We'll do a little Ask Me Anything in the 5 o'clock hour tomorrow, or Ask Us Anything anyway. We'll have a weekly winner in What Is Wrong With You. Matt Derrick is going to join us for our Chiefs Insider to wrap up mandatory minicamp and talk some Royals with our guy Trenton Kraxner, former 580 Sports Talk intern, current writer for RoyalsReview.com. He's going to join us bottom of the 4 o'clock tomorrow. That's all coming up Friday on 580 Sports Talk. Right now, though, to wrap up Thursday, Spencer Dupuis, why don't you give us a final word?
I think Trenton would be much happy on our show tomorrow if the Royals do get a convincing win tonight. We just talked about it before into break, the disrespect that the Yankees are showing. It is Aaron Judge's first day off this entire season. You just throw him to DH if you don't want him to play the field like he does sometimes. There's the major disrespect there. I think if you're the Royals, you need to bottle that up and play tonight as if you took offense to that and go and knock out the Yankees tonight. Seth Lugo needs to go have a monster outing. The offense needs to come alive. And tomorrow we'll be talking a Royals win with our buddy Trenton Kraxner if that happens.
Final word for me, just to rehash something that's come up a couple of times today. I would love for somebody on this roster right now, right this second, to be the difference maker, to get hot, to pull the Royals out of this funk. And I'm not even talking about Bobby Witt Jr. because, again, he's an all-star starter caliber player, an MVP caliber player. Somebody else has got to be the one to pull the Royals out of a funk. I just don't know if they've got that guy as currently constructed on this roster. And it might take a couple of major league bats to get them to that point. I just don't know how many of those guys are going to be available at the deadline this year. I don't know if the Royals can afford too many guys like that this year. That'll do it for 580 Sports Talk today, though. We've got Royals baseball coming up next. Pre-game starts here at the top of the hour after a commercial break. First pitch at 6:40. We'll join you tomorrow to break it all down. For Spencer Dupuis, I'm Brendan Dworzynski. This has been 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW.